So we are talking about the interaction of radiation with matter. Okay, so what is interaction of radiation with matter, like that? Okay, so before that we saw what is light amplification. So light amplification refers to the increase of intensity of the light. So that is the meaning of light amplification. So increasing in the intensity of the light or increasing the amplitude of the light. So if you take a light is normally traveling as waves. So it is traveling in the wave form. So in that case, normally what we do is we will consider two or more waves, and then we will see what happens when they interfere. So interfere in the sense when they are having when they are uh, when they are superimposing. Okay, so superposition is nothing but it is just addition of your waves. Okay, so for this what we did is we just took this example, like I take two waves, wave 1 and wave 2, and then I will first take coherent waves. Coherent waves means they are in phase. So when they are in phase, so in that case what happens is the crest of the first wave will be in the same position as crest of the second one. Trough of the first wave will be in the same position as trough of the second wave. Okay, so if you want to uh, describe the wave, there are different parameters. Like one of them is your amplitude. Amplitude refers to the height or the distance between the crest and the trough. So that is your amplitude. And then there is also called as wavelength. Wavelength is nothing but it is distance between two crests, like from here to here, or I can take this here. So as it is shown in the diagram, I can take between the two troughs. So that will become the wavelength. So wavelength and frequency almost, if you take the inverse of the wavelength, then it is your frequency. So these are some of the parameters. Then what you do is you make them to superimpose, or you make them to interfere. So interfere, what happens is there are again two kinds of interference. One is your constructive interference. So this occurs when two waves which are in phase. Okay, so that means when two waves are in phase, then you can expect constructive interference, and if they are out of phase, then it is said to be a destructive interference. So these things we saw in the previous class. So if you take the constructive interference, like these two waves, wave 1 and wave 2, they are in phase. So then if you make them to interfere, what happens is the amplitude is going to increase. What happens to the wavelength? Wavelength is going to remain same, because wavelength, the position of your crest and trough will remain same. It is not going to move. So the lambda will be same. Okay, so if you take the lambda in the previous one, then the lambda in the second one is also going to be same. Okay. Okay. Uh, so I don't know. Are you still able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So then when it comes to district interference, then it is a you have to take the you should take something like out of phase. Out of phase means the crest of first one is not uh, displacement. Okay. So in such cases, what happens is, so we took that example here. I don't know why this is not working. Okay. Okay. So in that case, what happens? We took example of two waves which are out of phase by 180, one by 90 degree. That means, uh, okay. So now it's working. Okay, fine. So out of phase. So this I think it's here. Okay. So we take two waves. So let me call this as wave 3 and wave 4. Okay. So then it will be more easy for you to understand. Wave 3 and wave 4. So we take two more waves, wave 3 and wave 4, which is 90-degree out of phase, or just they're out of phase. So then in that case, what happens? crust of the first one is in the position of trough of the second one, and in the same way trough of first one is in the position of crust of the second one. So now if you make them to superimpose, so in that case what happens, if you need to just add the amplitude. So when you add the amplitude, so you have one, so 0 0 is 0, and then you have 1 minus 1 is again 0, and then you have again minus 1 and 1, which is again 0. Okay, so like that, if you take, if you keep adding these uh, waves, or if you superimpose these out of phase waves, then the amplitude is going to decrease. So it need not be always 0. So sometimes I told this is a 1 and 0, sorry, just 1 and minus 1. You can take a second wave which is slightly out of phase. Even when there is a slightly out of phase, that means I will take something, the second wave, I will write it here, which is something like this. Okay, so even in this case, what happens if you add this wave and this wave, still the amplitude is going to become smaller. Smaller means compared to the previous one. So initially I have a 1 and a minus 1. It means the amplitude is 2. So when you add up this kind of waves which are out of phase, you will always end up with amplitude which is less than 2. Okay, so amplitude is less than 2 or less than the initial value means it is destructive interference, or you're going to have the loss in the intensity of the waves. Okay, so that is what is the constructive and destructive interference. So now if you take this constructive interference, you can see like I started with two waves with the amplitude of 2. Then when we have a constructive interference, I have the amplitude is 4. 2 plus 2, it is 4. So then in that case, amplitude is increasing. So if you say the amplitude is increasing, that means you are having the light amplification. Okay, so this is what we saw about the light amplification. Light amplification means we need to have constructive interference and the amplitude of the wave should increase. So in that case, what happens, the intensity of the light will also increase. Okay, so that is your light amplification. So then we saw the next one, which is your interaction of radiation with matter. Okay, so what happens with the interaction of radiation with matter? So if you take radiation in our case, so it can be a heat radiation or electromagnetic radiation. Even the light is also radiation, because maybe when you're in school days, you would have done some experiment like you take one uh, magnifying lens, right? And then what you do, you allow the sunlight. So this is your sunlight. So you allow the sunlight to pass through this. Then you keep some leaf or some paper. So let us assume this is your paper. This is your lens. And then this is your sun. So when the sunlight is passing through this lens, what happens is this lens is going to converge your X-rays, sorry, your sun rays, which is your sun radiation. Then what happens, you can see that it will start burning, right? So what you are using is you are using the light as a radiation. Okay, in this case you are converting the light energy into your heat energy. Okay, so even light is also a radiation. Okay, so in when I tell about light, I am talking about the photons. So uh, these are supposed to be your radiation. In the same way, if I take heat, then phonons are the smallest unit. If you take electrical heating, then electrons are the smallest unit. So these phonons, electrons, these are the smallest unit, which is for respective radiation. Okay, so electrical radiation, electrons are the smallest unit. Heat, phonons are the smallest unit. Light, photons are the smallest unit. So as we are talking about the lasers, we don't worry about the other things like your electrons, electromagnetic radiation, and phonons. We will focus only on the photons. Okay, so photons is nothing but it is the smallest unit of your light. Okay, or smallest packet of light. So now, if you take Planck's equation, so in what is your Planck's equation? E is equal to h nu. So what is that? The energy of a radiation is given by h times the frequency of that radiation. Okay, so frequency you can write it as h, so it is c by lambda, so you will get E is equal to hc by lambda. So that will be the energy of a photon. So if you take the lasers are said to be monochromatic, or they are having single color or single wavelength. So that means the wavelength is almost constant. Like if you take red, it is 630. If you take blue, then it is around 435 or 440 nanometer, and green will be like 530 or 545 nanometer. So this wavelength is constant. So in that case, what happens? Your h is constant, Planck's constant. C is also your constant, light, the speed of light. So then, once you have lambda is constant, then that means the energy of your photon is constant. So this is true only for the case of your monochromatic light. This is not, you cannot use this for white light, because white light is not a monochromatic. If it is a polychromatic, then lambda is not constant. So if your lambda is not constant, in that case, what happens? E is also not constant. Okay. So that is the meaning. That is the reason you cannot use this for white light, but you can use only for a monochromatic light, like your laser light. Okay. So laser light is a monochromatic, so you can use this. So in that case, what happens? Energy of the photon is constant. So that is the main takeaway from this discussion. Okay. So now radiation means I know that is photon. So I'm talking about the photon. So if I tell radiation, that means it is photon. In the same way, there is something called as matter. Matter means it is a material. You can take any material, and then what happens? That would become your matter. So if you take any material, it is made of large number of atoms. Like as I discussed yesterday, if you take iron piece, 1 meter by 1 meter cube, then there is the Avogadro number of iron atoms which are filled in that 1 meter by 1 meter. That means there are 10 raised to 28 number of atoms. So if I tell matter, matter means material, materials means I'm talking about the atoms. Okay. So now if you take glass, glass is having like 10 raised to 28 number of your SiO2, your silicon oxide with some impurity maybe, or dopant. So then if you make this light is nothing but it is your photon. So you are making your photon to fall on the glass. So then what happens? This photon can get reflected, the light can get reflected, or it can get refracted into the glass, and also it can get transmitted out of the glass. So it is coming out of the glass. So these are the different phenomena that you can expect from a light which is passing through the glass. But if I send the same light, same wavelength, same energy light, then what happens? Through a wood. So wood, what happens? You cannot expect a transmission of light through the wood, because the wood is going to absorb all the energy. Even you may not see much of the reflectance. So this is the interaction of photon with your material. So depending on the material, you can have different kinds of interactions. Okay. So I think this is what I explained yesterday. So okay. So this is the last thing which I explained. So now if I talk about the photon, so that is your radiation. So radiation, a photon with which has a specific energy. That means E is constant for this energy. So that is your radiation. This is the radiation. Then when I talk about the matter means there is atoms. So this is what we are going to use. Okay. So interaction of photon with the atoms. So atoms means again you can have two different picture of atom. So this is your graphical representation of atom. So in classical mechanics, what happens is you consider the atom to be having a nucleus which is made of neutrons and protons, and then the electrons are revolving around the nucleus. So that is your classical picture, or from classical mechanics. So in the same way, in the quantum mechanics, what we do is atoms, if I want to show the structure of atom, then I am just going to write this E1, E2, E3 like that. Okay. So here we have to just remember two things. Radiation means I'm talking, if I tell radiation, that means I'm talking about the photon which E is equal to constant. Okay. So then if I'm talking about atom, that means I'm just going to write this energy levels. So if I write energy level, that refers to matter. Okay, so this is your matter. Matter means it is your material or atom. So this, the interaction of the photon with your atom, so it can occur in three types. Okay, so uh, we will see those three types of interactions. Okay, so the first one is your what we call as the induced absorption. Okay, so induced absorption is the first process. So as we told, so when your light is traveling through the glass, so it can have reflection, refraction, and transmittance. If it is going through the wood or maybe a plastic, then you may have more number of absorption. So that means the same kind of process can occur in any material. So we are talking about the absorption right now. Okay. So in this case, what happens? You take an atom which is in ground state. Ground state means it is in its steady state. Okay, so this is your steady state. Then what we do, we give some energy to this atom. So you can give energy in different forms. You can give energy in h nu. You can give energy in ev. You can give energy in your kt. Okay, so or rt. Okay, so you can have, these are different types of energies. Then what happens, your atom is going to take that energy and it will go to the excited state. So this is like you start in your day. When you wake up, you will have less energy. Maybe once you have take some coffee or tea or whatever you want, or maybe even your breakfast, then that would give you some energy. Then you become more active. So the same thing happens in case of your atoms. If you take atom, it can be you give some energy. So this is your energy that you are giving. Okay, so the first one, the first energy is, so these are different energies. You can give any one of them. So this the first one is your photon. If you can give photon by using E is equal to h nu. Then the second one is your electron. Okay, so you can send an electron. This electron is going to transfer its energy to the atom, and that atom is going to go to the excited state. Or you can give a photon, sorry, phonon. Okay, so this is your heat energy or your phonon. Okay, so but we are not going to talk about other things. So you will still have more mechanical energy and all those things, but we are not going to talk this. We are going to stick only to the photons. Okay, so now what happens if how do you represent this graphically? Okay, so this is your symbolic representation. So this is your induced absorption in symbols. Okay, so this is in symbolic representation. Okay, so that means in symbols you are going to represent it. So the same thing I want to represent in a graphical representation. Okay, so graphic means you need to show in figures. Okay, so graphical representation, how do you show this is, you have to take the picture of a atom and picture of a photon, and then what happens to it. Okay, so now initially what you do is you take some atom. So this is the picture of atom. So as I told, if I write E2 and E1, that means I am representing the atom. Okay, so this is your atom. Then what you do is you send some energy by making it to interact with your photon. Okay, so this is you send a photon. Okay, so this photon is equal to h nu. It will have a specific energy. E is equal to h nu, and this has to be equal to E2 minus E1. So what is the meaning of E2 minus E1? It is the difference between these two energy levels. Okay, so in that case what will happen is the atom, or there is an electron here, this electron is going to take this energy and is going to go to the excited state. So atom which is in ground state is going to take the photon, the energy from the photon, and it will go to the excited state. Okay, so you have E2 and E1. So I will just write this star. So or instead of electron, I'm just going to give star. So star is going to go to the excited state. So after you give the energy in the form of photon. Okay. So this is what we call as the induced absorption. Induced absorption means you induce means you are going to give external energy to the atom, and then this atom is going to go to the excited state. So this is your induced absorption. So this is the first process, like the material can absorb the energy. Material means it is made of atoms. So if we are seeing this in the atomic level. So what happens to each atom? The atom which is in ground state means it is a steady state, is going to go to the excited state after taking this energy. Then you may ask why it is E2 minus E1. So for this you need to have some small just a minute. Okay, so you need to know the concept of this energy level. So you are going to learn that in detail when you are going to learn the your quantum mechanics. But for now I will just show I will just explain you this. Okay, so if you, as I told, energy sorry, atom can be represented in the form of energy levels, right? So if I write energy levels, like I have E1, and then there is E2, and then there is E3. Okay, so these are the, then you can keep on giving E4, E5, E6, like that. Okay, so these are the energy levels, and they need to be they need to be having specific energy. Okay, so this means we call it as a quantized. Okay, energy is quantized. Energy is quantized means the energy of this each of the level is constant, so it cannot take just arbitrary number. So we are going to see this in detail in the quantum mechanics, but for time being, you to understand the concept of absorption and all, so you need to know this. Okay, so like this may have 0.1 electron volt, and then what happens, this will have some higher energy, like because this is in your y-axis, so y-axis it is going to increase. Okay, so energy is going to increase in the y-axis. So now this would have something like 0.8 electron volt. Okay, so the difference is, so that is what we call as the energy gap, or E2 minus E1. Okay, E2 minus E1 is, in this case it is 0.7 electron volt. Okay, so next this would have something like 1.9 or 2 electron volt. So now what is the difference between these two? This, the difference is E3 minus E2. E3 minus E2 is something like if you take zero point 0.8 and sorry, 1.9 minus 0.8 is 1.1 electron volt. Okay, so you can see this energy levels, as we go to the higher energy level, the difference is going to increase, and also the energy of the next level is going to increase. So this is by what is it? You need to follow all atoms will follow this rule. So in that case, you can see yeah, the E2 minus E1 is not same as the E3 minus E2. So you have to remember this concept. Okay, so this is important for understanding the next few concepts. Okay, so the difference between energy levels is not same, because the energy of each energy level is quantized. Quantized means each energy level have will have a different values. Okay, energy values. So this is about your energy levels. So now if you see here, what happens is the energy that you're giving to the photon, it has to be constant. So how do you make this constant is, as we already saw in the previous case, so E is equal to h nu is equal to hc by lambda. Okay, so that is your equation for energy, so of a photon. So then in that case, h is constant, c is constant, I can play with lambda, then I can get this E2 minus C1. Okay, so that is how you can experimentally get the value for E2 minus C1. Okay, so this should be equal to E2 minus C1. Now you know, if I know this is like 0.7 electron volts, like in the previous case, then I need to provide the proper photon with constant wavelength. Okay, which would give this 0.7 electron volt. Okay, energy. So this is how you can tune the energy of each of the photons. So this is the first process. The first process is absorption, induced absorption. Induced means you're giving energy from the external source, and the atom is going to go to the excited state. Okay, so this is your induced absorption. So the second one is is your spontaneous emission. Okay, spontaneous emission. So what is this spontaneous emission is? So the starting point will be for this process is the end of your first process. End means you take an atom which is in excited state. In the first case, you take atom which is in ground state, then you give energy, then that atom is going to go to the excited state. Now what you do is you start with this step. Okay, so that means you take an atom which is in excited state, and you do nothing, you just keep looking it in looking. Okay, then what happens after 10 raised to minus 8 seconds? Okay, so when you have time more than 10 raised to minus 8 seconds, the atom will go to come to ground state. How it is going to come to ground state is it will come down to ground state by giving out some energy. So let us assume this energy is in the form of photon. Okay, so why this happens is, so I will just give a very general example. Okay, so if you are having a exam tomorrow, so you are in ground state. Okay, or you are feeling sleepy. What you do is you take some coffee or tea, so that is your photon. Then what happens, you go to the excited state. Excited state in the sense you'll get some energy. So this is not like a permanent energy, it is a temporary energy. You get some energy, so you again keep reading. So you will you will feel like, okay, you are now feeling well, I can read for some more time. How long you can read? You cannot read the entire night, right? So until that coffee is or tea is working on you, you will keep reading. So after that, what happens? You will again feel this. You will start feeling sleepy, because that is the stable state. You are tired, so you have to go to sleep. That is a steady state. Same thing happens for an atom. Atom is in ground state. You give some external energy, so it is going to the excited state. But this is not the stable form. It always wants to come back to ground state. How it will come down to ground state is it has to give out its energy, and it will come down to ground state. And normally this is not a magic number. Okay, so I wrote something like 10 raised to minus 8 seconds. It is not a magic number. It is the lifetime of a atom. Okay, so lifetime of atom in excited state. Okay, so if you take any atom when it is in excited state, it can stay only for 10 raised to minus 8 seconds. So after that, it will always try to come back to ground state. Okay, so in the previous case, you had to give some external energy, but here you don't have to give any energy. You just wait for 10 raised to minus 8 seconds. Okay, then what happens? The atom is going to come to ground state. So that is why it is called as spontaneous. Spontaneous means it is occurring by itself. You don't have to do any external energy or external work. So now this is again your uh, what we call as the okay. This is what we call as the symbolic representation. Okay, and then in the same way we will write the your graphical representation. Okay, so how you can show this process graphically? Okay, there is some question, I think. Okay, just a minute. Okay, can you explain once again spontaneous energy? Spontaneous. Okay, see, spontaneous means it is occurring by itself. Okay, so that is a meaning of spontaneous. So like if you see something which you like if you are going in the street, and you feel like you will see something like you will see some chat or something which you like most, right? So what is the what happens is you will go and just buy it and eat it. That is spontaneous. Okay, so I'm giving very rough example, but that is uh, that is how it happens. Okay, and what is the meaning of induced? Induced means you don't like something, like in your home they have made some food which you don't like, but what happens is your parents will give some external pressure, that is your energy. Okay, then they will make you to eat it. So this is your induced absorption. Induced absorption means it is occurring uh, by external force. So you're going to apply some external energy and you make that you make that process to happen. So that is your induced, or sometimes it is also called as stimulated. Okay, so that is what is your induced or stimulated. Or in simple words, if you are relaxed, you can read for longer time without any external energy. So that is your stable form. But as you keep reading, maybe like normally most of you, what you have that habit is you will keep reading only on the last day of your exam or just the day before the exam. So you will start take the book in the afternoon, maybe like 12 o'clock, and then you start keep reading. So after maybe like 7 o'clock in the evening, what happens? You will start feeling sleepy. Then you take some external energy by taking milk or coffee or tea, whatever, or chocolate. Chocolate is also good energy or to keep you awake. That is also good source. So then what happens? You will not feel any more sleepy. Then you keep reading, right? So that is the external energy that you're taking, but it will not stay for longer time. So what happens? After some time, you will, so you're in excited state, but again you will start feeling sleepy. So that is the meaning of excited state. Your atoms cannot be in excited state for longer time. They have to come back to the stable state or ground state. Okay, so this, if I don't write any star, that means it is a stable or steady, or sometimes it is also called as a ground state. Okay, so this is your ground state. So you take the atom which is in excited state, which is your star. Once I put star, that means it is your atom. So it always wants to come down to ground state. How it will come down to ground state? By giving out some energy. So this will occur after 10 raised to minus 8 seconds. So that is the lifetime of the atom in excited state. That means the atom, when it is in excited state, it can stay only for 10 raised to minus 8 seconds. So after that, it will automatically come down to ground state. Okay. So this is spontaneous. Spontaneous means you don't have to give any external energy. It will occur by itself. Okay. So now if you take this pictorial representation, so what you normally do is you take an atom which is in already in excited state. So how you get this is you take an atom, send an energy, so that then you'll have induced absorption. Then what happens? Your atom is in excited state. So after time greater than 10 raised to minus 8 seconds, so what happens is this atom will come down to ground state. Okay, so this has to come down to ground state. This atom which is in excited state will come down to ground state. So when it is coming down, it will give out some energy, and this energy will be in the form of photon, and again the energy will be equal to E2 minus E1. That is nothing but the difference between these two energy levels. Okay, so this is your second process, which is your spontaneous emission. Okay, so in this case, what happens? You are getting one photon. One photon is coming out of this atom. Okay, so this is your spontaneous emission. So now what I will do is I will take the last one, which is more important for your discussion. Okay, for this discussion, the last one is what we call as the stimulated emission. Okay, so stimulated emission. Why this is important? This is the basic principle behind the working of a laser. Okay, so here again what you do is you take atom which is in ground, which is in excited state. So this is the end of your first process. Okay, so your induced absorption. So then what you do is you should not leave this atom to be there for longer time. So that means before the lifetime, which is your 10 raised to minus 8 seconds, what you do, you send one more photon of energy, h nu. E is equal to h nu. Okay, so now what will happen to this atom? This atom again, it will come down to ground state by giving out two photons. Okay, so which are these two photons? The photon, so this is your symbolic representation. So I will write the same thing graphically, then I think it will be easy for me to explain. Okay, So now what you're doing, you're taking the atom which is already in excited state. If I allow this, if I just leave this for 10 raised to minus 8 seconds, then what happens? It is going to undergo spontaneous emission. But before 10 raised to minus 8 seconds, what I do, I send one more photon. Okay, I am going to send one more photon of energy E is equal to h nu, and this is equal to E2 minus E1. Okay, so now what will happen to this is E2 and E1, right? So you have the atom which is in excited state will come down to ground state, and it will give two photons. Okay, so the one photon is the photon which is you are going to incident. The second photon is the photon which is due to the jumping of your atom from excited state to ground state. So this is similar to what you had in your spontaneous emission. In case of spontaneous emission, when your atom is coming from higher energy level to lower energy level, it is giving out one photon. So let us assume this is that photon, and which is this blue photon? Blue photon is the photon which is you are incidenting into this atom. Okay, so now if you take these two photons, these are coherent photons. What is the meaning of coherent photons? Coherent photon means they are in phase. Okay, so when you have coherent photons, then what happens? You can expect the constructive interference. Okay, so when there is a constructive interference, that means there is light amplification. Okay, so this is the reason why I spent uh, time yesterday to explain you the light amplification. So for having light amplification, you should have constructive interference. For having constructive interference, you should have coherent photons, okay, which are in phase. So this is your what we call as the stimulated emission. So if you take laser means light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So what is the meaning of stimulated emission of radiation? You take an atom which is in excited state, then you give some energy before it is coming down to ground state. Then what happens? The atom is going to come down to ground state by giving out two photons which are coherent. Okay, so now this is the process of your stimulated emission of radiation. Okay, so now you may ask why it is coming down to ground state, why it is not going to excited state? Because if you take the first one, like if I take this first process where I'm having an atom which is in, E1, and if I give energy, what will happen? It will go to the excited state. But in the next process, what I'm telling, so in this process, what I'm telling is, if I take an atom which is in already in excited state and I'm giving energy, so in principle, what should happen? It should go to the next excited state. Why it is coming down to ground state? Can anyone tell why it is coming down to ground state? Why it has to come down to ground state?
Because
Sorry?
the given energy is not enough to sir go into the higher energy state,
Yes.
sir. The energy
So,
difference is less than the higher
yes.
energy state difference.
Yes, you're right. Okay. So this is why I explained in the previous case. So unstable. Okay, good. So you see, you as I told, E2, E1, and E3. So if you take these are the different energy levels. So I told the difference here is 0 point something like 7 electron. It can change. It depends on one atom to other atom. But just for example, I'm taking like this. The difference between E2 and E1 is 0.7 electron volt. But when you take the next energy gap or the difference between E3 and E2, it will be always higher, like 1.21 electron volt. And if I take the next one like E4, this will be again higher, maybe like 1.4 or 1.5 electron volts. Okay, so now what is the energy I'm giving here is I'm giving energy of E2 minus E1 is equal to h nu. I'm not giving energy of E3 minus E2 equal to h nu. If I give energy of E3 minus E2 is equal to h nu, then what happens? The atom which is in this state can jump to the next energy level. So in this case, what is the energy I'm giving is 1.1 electron volt, right? But I'm not giving 1.1 electron volt, but I'm giving 0.7 electron volt. 0.7 electron volt is not sufficient for this atom to go to the next energy level. Okay, so this is not sufficient to take this atom to the next energy level, because you need higher energy like 1 electron volt, which is much higher than 0.7 electron volt. So in this case, what happens? This atom has no other choice, but it has to come down to ground state. Okay, so if I give this, then you can expect the atom to go to the next energy level, but I am giving energy E2 minus E1 is equal to H nu is equal to E. So in that case, the energy that you are supplying to this atom is not sufficient to make this atom to jump to the next energy level. So it has to come down to next the normally the lower energy level, because again it cannot stay for longer time because it is a atom which is in excited state. Okay, so in this process what you are getting is you are getting two photons which are coherent. So this is very important. Okay, this is important because only in that case what will happen is you get the light amplification. Okay, so that is your this is what we call as the stimulated emission of radiation. Okay, so I guess this is clear. Okay, so do you have any doubt of within these three different process? Do you have any doubt with respect to these any of these process? You should ask me. Okay, so